You were in college,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, the competition is around you. You working on yourself. You got a goal in mind. NFL. You want to play at the highest level. What was the thinking in that moment? Like, what was the emotions like?
The only way that I was able to make it through that situation is because of God. It's because of my relationship with God.
That's good.
That is the only thing that kept me tight. Because again, just me being who I am, I'm not going to change the type of player I am. So even though you're doing that to me, it's not going to affect, because a lot of people, what happened was that happened to a lot of people. And what it did was it messed with them mentally and they gave up. Basically what they were saying was like, if I'm going to work this hard and you're still going to bench me, then I'm not going to work that hard. What am I working hard for if I'm not going to play? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to come to practice. I'm going to mess around and whatever. I'm not playing anyway. That was not my attitude. My attitude was, this is what I love to do. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability regardless. Yeah. And that's the attitude that you need to have, because you don't give them, you're giving them an excuse to bury you, and they're justified. Now you bury me, you're not justified in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I still show up to practice. I still do everything I'm supposed to do. I still work hard. So you're just doing it because you want to, not because it's justified. So I was making my mark on special teams. You know what I mean? Running back kicks. You know what I mean? But even that, they didn't want me to do that. You know what I mean? God had to open up the door for that. You know what I mean? They would put me on the side of the ball where they thought the ball was not going to go to. Wow. You know what I mean? And what happened was we were playing Wake Forest. They kicked the ball to me by accident one time. I almost ran it back for a touchdown, right? Ball went to the right. So the next time they thought it was going to go right again. So they put me on the left. It came left. Almost ran it back again. It's all God. You know what I'm saying? And so then finally it was like, let them run back kicks. You know what I mean? So I was averaging like 29 yards of kick return. That was almost tops in the country. You know what I mean? But that was like halfway through the season. You know what I mean? Had they let me do it all season, it might have been something different. But again, that was just God keeping me involved. You know what I mean? Keeping my name out there.
I'm good cause I'm walking with the kid. Yeah. Jesus paid it all. I ain't gotta pay attention. Devil tryna talk, but he can't tell me anything. Head high, both hands up. I'm walking with the king. Walking with the king. Walking with the king. Yeah. Used to keep my head low, counting every bill laid, every pain so. Now I keep a warm Bible in the Kango. Highlight lines when the day go great. Oh, temptation on the corner like say less. Old friends in the whip yelling stay pressed. But I heard grace speak in the same stress. Turn my whole mess into fade rips. Got a cross on my chain, but it's deeper. Got a word in my heart that's the healer. Devil in my DMs tryna scheme. I just leave them on red, then I read. Yeah. I'm good cause I'm walking with the king. Yeah. Jesus paid it all, I ain't gotta pay attention then. Devil tryna talk, but he can't tell me anything. Head high, both hands up. I'm walking with the king. Walking with the king. Hey. Walking with the king.
What's up, everybody? Coach Moon back at you. This is the 150 Podcast. Thank you so much for joining. Today we got a special guest. We're going to lock in on, you know how we do, some really deep conversations. We like to take it deep. We don't like to scratch on the surface. We like to go real deep because we know that the only way to get real healing, the only way to get real breakthrough is to go deep. So thank you all so much for joining. Like, subscribe, send it to somebody you know is going to be blessed by it, and we'll go from there. All right. So today we got my brother. I know him as Coach Weeks. On the call, man. I appreciate you joining, man. How you been, man? How you doing?
I've been great, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, my brother. So look, man, you got me linked in with this chapel, man. I'm sorry, hold on a second. Let me stop this. Nope, not right now. We're not doing this. I got a call coming in. We're gonna pause that. So you got me linked in with the chapel, man, over at the Upper Marion football team, man, and it was a pleasure doing that, man. You've been coaching over there, man. So are you still coaching over there, or are you not coaching anymore?
I am not there anymore, unfortunately.
Got it. Okay.
But I'm going to be coaching at the middle school I actually went to. I coach wrestling there already. I coach lacrosse there already. Okay. So next year I'm going to be coaching 7th grade football there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Love it, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it, man. Always
Yeah.
giving back, brother. So I do want to stop on this note, man, because the topic that we're going to be getting into today is definitely going to link into what I'm about to ask you right now, because, you know, you've done something, in my opinion, that all of the young guys that I grew up around, at least, as well as many young guys that I've coached. I've been coaching for a long time, too. I've been coaching football and basketball 20 plus years. And, of course, you know, played and all the whole nine. But you did something that the average brother would love to have done, which is you've actually taken it to the highest level in the sport of football. You went to the NFL. You actually went to the NFL, bro. So,
Praise God. For
you
sure.
played for what the Seahawks, right?
Yep, Seattle Seahawks, and a little bit for the Broncos.
Okay. So tell us about, first off, the experience. I do want to take you back to high school and the whole nine. But before we do that, like, what is the mindset that you got to have, you know, to make it to the NFL?
I mean, you just got to be a person that is, you know, a hard worker. You know what I mean? You got to put work in. You got to sacrifice. You know, you got to love your craft, and you got to put a lot of work in. It's not easy.
And we're going to talk about that work. And the reason why we're going to talk about that work is because one of the things that I always do in this podcast is I focus on the behind the scenes, right? The behind the scenes is really where character and integrity is built. It's
Absolutely.
where the real story is built. Like, a lot of people, they see the outside, they see the finished result. They see, you know, the NFL, they see the, you know, all of that, you know, like all of the young, like my son right now, he's actually being looked at by a couple of schools. He's a really good football player. And one of the things that I can say about him, and I'm being complete transparent with this, is what you mentioned about hard work. That's just not default, you know, for a lot of young guys, man. It's just not. Young guys think that you're just going to walk into it, and because you got a little bit of talent and skill, that you're just going to, like, you know, they're going to see you and they're going to, okay, give you an opportunity, right? So my thing is, you know, when it comes down to, like, playing or doing anything, not just like the NFL, not just NBA, or not just those big things that young people look at, that's like, yo, that's, you know, that's the goal. But anything in life, I don't care what it is, because it's not just young people to watch this podcast. There's some older people too, and there's some, you know, people, you know, our age, you know, that challenge me on some stuff, man. I mean, you know, if you're in ministry, if you're in a community and you're seeing certain challenges happen, man, there's a lot of questions, bro, that people have when it comes to life in general. And so the topic that we're going to talk about today is what makes you, like, not quit when things get tough. So you went to the NFL. You have a family right now. You're in ministry right now. You got a lot of beautiful things going on for yourself right now. You love God. You serve God. You know, what do you do in church?
So I'm a deacon at my church. I've been a deacon since about 2019. Became a deacon. But even before that, you know, I was serving, you know what I mean, youth ministry, whatever my church needed me to do, you know what I mean? So
did you grow up in church, like, your whole life?
Pretty much. I got baptized when I was 6.
Okay.
So been going to church for a long time. It's been a huge part of my life.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, and there's been a lot of people that's like that, you know, at a certain point where, you know, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you walk in the line like you should. You know what I mean? So the Lord has always been a part of my life, but I haven't always done the things that I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? I haven't always walked, you know, the walk that I'm supposed to be walking. And so maturity is where, you know, where it comes in. I began to mature pretty early. You know what I mean? God always kept me grounded, even through college and things like that. So, you know, that walk has been very important to me. I had a coach who actually kind of solidified my faith with what I love to do, which was sports. And that's how, you know, the door opened with me with God. It was like, I had always been going to church and listening and things like that, but I never really applied it to anything other than, you know, I believe in Jesus. I knew that he was my savior. But other than that, you know, when it came to just life in general, you know, I wasn't praying and I didn't really know where to direct it. You know what I mean? But I had a coach who wasn't afraid to talk to us about God. And, you know, when he started to let me know how much God loved me and how the talent that I had was a gift from him, that clicked. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that helped me take off.
So this was the head coach of the football team, the high school team that you played for?
This was actually my wrestling coach. my middle school wrestling coach. His name was Charles Chicky Carter. And yeah, he used to always just talk about God all the time. You know what I mean? He used to preach, preach to us and joking, but he was really serious. You know what I mean? And he taught us a lot about mental toughness, and how far that can take you. But for him, it was always, praying before your matches and seeking God. And that really clicked with me. And it just helped me realize, like, I'm talented not because of me. Yeah. I'm talented because of God.
Gotcha. See, it's crazy that you're saying that you not only got mental toughness and training from your sports coach, but you got the gospel. You got him preaching and teaching about God. Not, that, like, the reason why I think that's important to point out is because, like, a lot of coaches, like, I know a lot of coaches, they don't understand the influence that they have over kids.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was one of the things that I value myself. Like, I'm still in contact with my middle school coach, right? He hits me up on Facebook every now and then.
Okay.
Sports have a huge part in the psyche of young people today, right? Huge. And I've always seen sports as a tool to kind of get young people to kind of direct themselves in a positive way in life. Right. Like, that's how I've always seen sports. Of course, there's a competitive nature too, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But absolutely. I think it's awesome that you had a coach that actually shared the gospel with you, a coach that talked about God, because
major. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on, because it's so important to me. High school, all throughout my high school career, even when I got to high school, he was middle school. But that continued in high school. I had another major influence on my life. His name is Bob DeRico, and he was my football chaplain. The only other sport that I had that in was football. None of my other sports had chaplains or anything like that. So football is just different. It's, to me, it's the greatest sport in the world. And in other sports like basketball, you can have a chaplain and things like that. But football, we had a chaplain. And I still meet with him monthly, like once a month.
Wait, to this day?
To this day, we still get up and have breakfast together, and there's some other brothers involved with that as well. But another major influence is talking about God and how important he is. And outside of the sport, how important it is to have God in your life. So I had that all through high school, even into college, even into the NFL. It's just continued. You know what I mean? But
so let's talk about this. Okay, so going to, and I mentioned this a little earlier, you went to the NFL. So that's the highest level of football in this world that we know of.
Yeah.
Right. You had a relationship with God that was basically built by people around you that influenced you in the gospel. Now, football is a crazy tough sport, right? Yeah. Like, I thought I was good until I got to high school, and then everybody's bigger than you. You're like, dang, this is a little different, right? When you get hit, on a consistent basis, you got to have a different thought process, right?
Correct.
So the competition level that you went to, man, you went to college. What college did you go to? Like, you went to Virginia, right?
University of Virginia, yeah.
That's like a different, okay, talk about the mindset that you have to have. We're going to get back into the mentorship that you received, but talk about the mindset that you had to have every day. Like, were you the physically gifted guy that ran the 4.2 and, benched, 400-500 pound? Like, what was that like for you, bro? The mental aspect of what you did.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we talk about what athletes don't understand, right? And they don't understand the grind that it takes. A lot of them come up to you and ask you how you do it, and it's just a grind. It's what you do. It's your life. Like, literally, if you want to you can make it whatever you want, but if you're not willing to work for it, it's not going to happen. The most talented dudes that you see out there they work. You know what I mean? And they make it look easy, but it's not. So going in as a freshman, you don't know what to expect. You go from being the big dog on campus, and you got to be humble. And that's my advice to anybody that's a star athlete. You need to be humble going into college, because they're dudes is dogs, right? They're grown, they're men. You're a boy going in, they are men. And so you have to go in humble. You can't go in, talking that trash and you're going to do this and you're not going to do nothing. You know what I mean? Just be quiet, put your head down and work. You know what I mean? I was gifted with speed. You know what I mean? Coming out of high school, they would say I ran a 4.3 40. That really correlates to a college like 4.5. Okay. I ran a 4.43 for my combine. So, I was fast. I was strong. You know what I mean? But it was all work. You know what I'm saying? I was always strong. Like, my freshman year in high school, I benched like 250.
Okay.
You know what I mean? By the time I left high school, I was benching 315. By the time I left for the league, I was benching 420.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So I could do all those things, but that's because you work out hard. You know what I mean? You got your summer workouts, you lift during the season. And I didn't play around, and we pushed each other. You know, it was always competition. You know, I'll walk in, I wanted to know what the linebackers was doing because I was a running back. You know what I mean? I played running back and defensive back. And I wanted to know what the linebackers was doing. You know what I mean? I didn't want to lift what the other running backs was doing. I wanted to know what the linebackers was doing. Right. And so I was always in competition with, you know, different people walking in like, oh, you did the 80s today? All right. And then, you know, I leave and I'm like, yeah, I did 85. So then you next week, you know what I mean? I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. And that's what that just builds you know what I mean? And it's the way of life in college. They're gonna orchestrate it that way. They're gonna schedule it that way. But you gotta dig in. You know what I mean? It's you versus you. You know what I'm saying?
Guys during that time that were around you that basically was working, they were talented and all that, but they quit. They actually didn't make it. They got cut or whatever for whatever reason because they quit.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple people in my class. We all had the same mentality. I had a really good class of dudes. We did have a few that kind of quit just because of the circumstances that were happening outside of football, like our coach. You know what I mean? And I have a crazy story with that as well. And it really plays into, like you said, why don't you quit? I mean, I could have quit and I could have transferred. I was going to transfer from University of Virginia. You know what I mean? I got recruited by George Welsh. That's an old school coach. He actually had to retire after my freshman year because of just health issues. And that's a big deal because a lot of times you go to schools and one of the things you'll ask a coach is like, are you going to be here? Because you want that coach that recruited you to stay. And Welsh thought he was going to, but, you know, health happened. And so we had another coach come in. And what happens when that coach comes in, he's going to want his guys to be the guys. You know what I mean? So that's basically what he told us. He came in, he just told us like, listen, you know, we'll be good when my guys get here. And I was a freshman. I was a redshirt freshman. So I redshirted my first year, which means you don't play, you just work out. You know, you practice, but you don't play in games. So I was a redshirt freshman when this new coach came in. And he basically told me and all my friends that we were not going to be good, and that he was looking to replace us. And so right there, this day and age, everybody in that situation is leaving. Transfer portal, all of them, everybody going. My mentality was, you're telling me that I'm not going to play and that you're going to replace me. Well, all you're saying to me is, I need to prove you wrong. That's all it was to me and everybody else in my class. You're saying that because you don't know us. You haven't even seen us on the field yet. And so it was just a prove him wrong type of mentality. You know what I mean? So
I love that. Now, see, I want to go deeper now because like I've had that mindset myself in other areas of my life. And I've also talked to brothers who've also had that mindset. It's like when you grow up in the hood, that's one of the defaults that you have. It's like, look, I want to prove, like, first off, I want to get away. Like, that's a thought process. I want to get out of here. Like, I grew up in the hood, you know, but then there's another piece of it that's like, you know, you got a lot of haters around you, man. Like a lot of people that's always, you know, not in healthy competition with you, but in unhealthy competition with you. And it's all this fighting and jockeying for position in life in general. And so what you just now said is a thought process that I think a lot of people have, which is I'm gonna prove you wrong, right? But what happens though when, and, you know, maybe you can talk about a time where you were on a borderline. You were, you know, you're like, look, man, you know, this is, whether it was something in your life that was affecting your, you know, getting to your goal, whether it was a relationship, whatever it was, when was there a time when you did feel like, look, man, I don't want to do this no more. This is just, it's too much. Was there a time like that in your life? And it doesn't have to be related to football. I mean, it could be related to anything in life.
I mean, I just give thanks to God that there was never really a time when that happened to me.
Gotcha.
I've gone through a lot of different stuff with football because like it became my profession. That was my job. Gotcha. You know what I mean? And that's a big change because you go from college and, you know, you make mistakes at practice. Okay. You might lose some playing time. You make mistakes in the NFL, you're fired. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you're not one of those top players, and I was a free agent. You know what I mean? You make those mistakes, man, and they'll fire you. I've seen people get fired during practice. Like, yo, they need to see you, bring your playbook. Like, you're done. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, man, like college football, my coach, no matter what I did for this coach that became the head coach, he just did not want me to be the guy.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I would ball, and it would just be like, there was just other people he wanted there. And so that was a really tough thing for me because I was used to being the guy. And you're always taught that if you work the hardest
Right.
and, you're doing everything you need to do, it's going to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And in college, it was paying off, but not the way I thought it should and not the way other people around me thought it should either. I worked hard, man. I wasn't one of those dudes that I wanted to win every sprint.
Yeah.
Because I was one of the fastest, so I wanted to win every sprint. I wanted to do good in every drill. I wanted to do well. You know what I mean? And so when it came time to I went from second string to fifth on the depth chart.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
And you think it's just because the way the coach was coming at you, because you was performing at the highest level, right?
That's all it was. So the point is, my sophomore year, I started against first game of the season. All the other running backs got hurt during summer camp. Right. So by default, I was running everything. And if there was ever an opportunity to show somebody what you got, I took advantage of it. Everybody on the team was like, hands down, you the starter. You earned it. You got it. Even the coaches were saying that. Getting to the game, gave me 3 plays. You know what I mean? 2 of them were pass plays. One was a screen play. The quarterback threw it over my head. One was a pass. One was an option. Quarterback gave it to me out of bounds, basically. So really got nothing. The third one was a screen pass over my head. If I would have caught it, it would have been a touchdown, but it was too high. And then I didn't play running back for the rest of the game. They put these basically 3 other dudes in, rotated them all through. I didn't touch the ball for the rest of the game. So his reward for me doing everything I had done that summer was, you're going to start. It wasn't you going to play like a lot. You're going to start. You earned the start, and then that was it. And I played special teams and all that. And that was the point where I was like, wow, this is not what I want. You know what I mean? That's where transferring came in. Cause I'm like, if I did all that and you not going to play me and not even let me just touch the ball, I don't forget starting. Just let me play. Yeah. I was ready to go.
Look, I want to dive into that though. Talk about the emotional factor that it had on you, man. I mean, what was that like? What was your emotions like during that time? I mean, most of us who have not gone to that level, of course, we thinking about bills and all that, but you were in college, like you mentioned, the competition is around you, you working on yourself, you got a goal in mind, NFL, you want to play at the highest level. What was the thinking in that moment? Like, what was the emotions like?
The only way that I was able to make it through that situation is because of God. It's because of my relationship with God.
That's good.
That is the only thing that kept me tight. Because again, just me being who I am, I'm not going to change the type of player I am. Okay. So even though you're doing that to me, it's not going to affect, because a lot of people, what happened was that happened to a lot of people. And what it did was it messed with them mentally and they gave up. Basically what they were saying was like, if I'm going to work this hard and you're still going to bench me, then I'm not going to work that hard. What am I working hard for if I'm not going to play? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to come to practice. I'm going to mess around and whatever. I'm not playing anyway. That was not my attitude. My attitude was, this is what I love to do. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability regardless. Yeah. And that's the attitude that you need to have, because you don't give them, you're giving them an excuse to bury you, and they're justified. Now, you bury me, you're not justified in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I still show up to practice. I still do everything I'm supposed to do. I still work hard. So you're just doing it because you want to, not because it's justified. Right? And so my coach really couldn't not use me. So every time I got on the field, things were still happening for me. And that's just God. And that's the things that were keeping me, keeping my morale up, because my teammates knew that I could ball. You know what I mean? They knew I had talent. They knew I should have been starting and playing. And so just having that respect was what kept me going. You know what I mean? I wasn't going to let them just bury me, and then that was it.
So every day you showing up to practice, you going to film sessions, you were in games on the side, whatever you're doing, you just had that mindset that I'm just going to bring the same the same grit, the same grind to everything that's going on around me. Is that what you had?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I was making my mark on special teams. You know what I mean? Running back kicks. You know what I mean? But even that, they didn't want me to do that. You know what I mean? God had to open up the door for that. You know what I mean? They would put me on the side of the ball where they thought the ball was not going to go to. Wow. You know what I mean? And what happened was, we were playing Wake Forest. They kicked the ball to me by accident one time. I almost ran it back for a touchdown. Right? Ball went to the right. So the next time they thought it was going to go right again. So they put me on the left. It came left. Almost ran it back again. it's all God. You know what I'm saying? And so then finally it was like, let him run back kicks. You know what I mean? So I was averaging like 29 yards or kick return. That was almost tops in the country. You know what I mean? But that was like halfway through the season. You know what I mean? Had they let me do it all season, it might have been something different. But again, that was just God keeping me involved. You know what I mean? Keeping my name out there. It got so bad that my senior year, I was going to transfer. I was actually going to transfer to Delaware. And Delaware wanted me to come, but they wanted me to come right away. And I told them I had been in Virginia for 4 years. I want to graduate from here. I worked hard. You know what I mean? And all I needed was a summer. And they're like, oh, well, can't, we really want you, but we have another guy that's willing to come. But I was like, you know what? So I went to this retreat. We had an FCA retreat. That's Fellowship of Christian Athletes for college. Went on a retreat, spent that whole time just praying to God and just asking him, like, what do you want me to do? I prayed before I went to Virginia. That's why I went there, because I felt like God was saying this is the spot. And at the retreat, he didn't tell me to leave. He told me to stay. And so I stayed. And in staying, I just thought I was going to go into another year where I was just going to prove him wrong. And hopefully this year would be the year that God changed his heart and changed his mind, and I'd be the starting running back. But then people started playing around saying, like, oh, you should play defense. And I'm like, hey, play defense? Now I coach as players. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you should we need some safeties. Play safety. I'm like, man, I'm a running back, man. Like, that's what I do. And then I started thinking about it, like, if I want to get on the field, though, I can play defense. You know what I mean? I love Brian Dawkins. I'll just pretend I'm B Dawk out there. You know what I mean? And so I prayed about that. And I asked God, what should I do? I'm here. I'm staying. But now that I'm staying, like, what do you want me to, like, what am I going to do? What's going to change? And the more I thought about it, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do it. What do I have to lose by doing it? And so I went and talked to the coach, had a meeting with him, and I told him I was going to stay, and he was happy about that. But then I was like, but I want to play defense. I want to play safety. And he was like, he got happy.
Wow.
He was happy. He was like, yes, I don't got to worry about you on offense no more. That's what I'm thinking in his mind. He's like, yes, he's finally like out of my hair. Because people kept asking him like why I wasn't playing offense. Yeah. And he really didn't have no good excuse.
So it was just him having a problem with you or something? I don't know.
It wasn't a problem. It was these coaches, man, like their reputation is built off of the recruits they bring into the school.
Wow. Okay.
So he was trying to build his reputation up quick by showing that he's a good recruiter and saying that he can bring better talent, and that the talent we had at Virginia wasn't good, which is why we weren't as good as we used to be. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see.
Which is that's not the attitude you need to have when you're coming into a college atmosphere. He came from the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's Al Groh was his name. He was the coach. He was the head coach of the Jets. Okay. He just had an NFL mentality. You know what I mean? NFL, you can scout people. You can pay that person. You can bring them in. It's not like that in college. Like, we're here. And we're young kids. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So he came in with an NFL mentality. Like, I'm going to get rid of you and bring this guy. What do you mean get rid of me? I'm here. Like, right. I can't go to, you know what I mean? So, and it was crazy. So before I moved to safety, right, I hadn't touched the ball since that time I started, right, my sophomore year. I hadn't touched the ball for probably 5 weeks. Disappeared. Nobody saw me on offense. All I did was play special teams. 2 running backs go down, right? So he comes to me and he's like, what do you think about starting? I'm like, yeah. What I think, I'm ready. Right. You know what I mean? But again, this is God, because had I went into the tank, had I been playing, practicing terrible and not caring and not giving my all, he wouldn't have come to me. You know what I'm saying? That's why these kids got to understand you cannot stop being who you are. No matter what's going on, you can't stop being who you are. Be who God made you to be. You know what I mean? That's and he was able to come to me and ask me to start. And I did. It was against NC State. It was the number 1 defense in the country against the run. I had 129 yards against them. Hadn't touched the ball for 5 weeks. You know what I mean? So, every time I got an opportunity, God made sure that I was able to show out. But even with that, so then we get to the bowl game. So I ended up getting hurt later on. We played Maryland next. I had 7 carries for 49 yards. I was balling. My ankle had got hurt like a couple weeks before that. Hurt my ankle again. Was fighting to get back for the bowl game. Got back to the bowl game. They were like, yeah, you're not going to start. It went back to the same old stuff. So I was ready to transfer. But anyway, came back, moved to safety. This man gave me the starting job on the day I asked him to move to defense. Yes, he said first team, first day. Never played safety before. Wow. You know what I mean? And so that's great for me, but think about the people who got recruited to play safety.
Exactly.
This just blows my mind, but I couldn't worry about that. You know what I mean? I was going to do my thing. So I ended up starting at safety. This is how good God is. Played the whole year at safety, second on the team in tackles. You know what I mean? I had a sack and a half, like one pass defense and all that other stuff, right? I got invited to the NFL Combine as a safety. I played in the All-Star game my senior year as a safety. And then, as a safety, teams were there. Seattle was there. There was a scout from Seattle there. He told me flat out, he was like, I like you. He was like, we're going to get you. You know what I mean? So, and I'm like, cool, whatever. Go to the combine, perform pretty well. NFL draft comes. I did not get drafted. I got a call in like the 6th round from Atlanta, and they were like, we're going to pick you. And they ended up not picking me. But after the draft was over, I had like about 7 teams call me, Seattle being one of them, Baltimore being another.
So during this process of okay, you're not going first round, teams calling you the whole nine, in that you were in the same mindset that you were in college, where you were like, I'm gonna stay the course, I'm gonna stay the path. Like, was there any time where you were just like, is this for me? Is this not for me? I mean, like, were you thinking like at any given time, maybe I won't get drafted, and then I'm gonna have to do something else. I'm gonna have to work on maybe what my degree major was, or was it, time like that where you had to think about that?
Well, I mean, there's always an opportunity. There's always a chance that you won't get an opportunity.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wasn't focused on that. I was just like, I'm gonna get a shot somewhere.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But even if I didn't, I always had a plan A. See, the NFL was plan B for me. Okay. You know what I mean? I wanted to go, but I mean, it's not easy. 0.001% go. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I always wanted to teach. So if I didn't make it to the NFL, I was just going to go right into teaching. Like, you know what I mean? Do everything I need to do from that point to get into teaching. So Seattle calls, and Seattle basically tells me that I have an opportunity to choose what I want to play. They were like, do you want to play defense or do you want to play running back?
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is after all of the other NFL teams were calling you. Then Seattle finally called you and said, and they gave you the choice.
They gave me a choice.
It's crazy.
Right. So Baltimore, it came down to Baltimore and Seattle. Baltimore said I could play running back. Seattle said I could play running back. Mind you, I played safety my senior year. I had not touched the ball for a year. That's God, man. Like, people don't understand. Like, it's wild, right? And in hindsight,
because I want to keep going, but like, when you say that that's God, and I understand it, I get it, because I got a relationship with him, and I know that there's been certain things in my life. There's been times in my life that have been crazy challenging, where God will show up, and you can't blame it on anybody else but God. It's like God had to orchestrate this. Nothing or nobody else orchestrated this but God. I mean, for the person out there, man, it's 2 types of people I want to talk about. Number one, the person that doubts that God intervenes at a level that you're talking about right now. Because, man, I'm listening to your story, and I know the people that are listening to your story probably are thinking like, yo, that sounds like a Remember the Titans type of scenario. Like, oh my gosh, man, like, this brother is focused. He's grinding. You got a plan A that's not football. Like, but plan B, you ended up getting to that level, bro. And you talking about 0.1%, whatever that percentage is. And then these doors are opening for you. There's people out here though, bro, that are like, man, they're going to hear this and they're going to be inspired by it, hands down, especially young people. I know that for sure. There's young people and older people, bro, at a certain level where adversity in their lives is causing them to question, like, man, it's God, do you hear me? Like, do you see what's going on in my life? Like, do you understand, man, that like I don't want to go to the NFL. I just need to get a job, or, I just want to be able to go to college, and my parents don't have the tuition to pay for, to go to college. Or, I mean, just name whatever adversity you want to name. But there's people out there that don't believe that God can intervene at the level that you're talking about right now. But the one thing that is hard to absorb in the mind and just accept the fact that it takes time in any relationship to build that type of interaction. Like you won't know if you give up, if God open the door for you.
It's just what you said. I had every opportunity, right? And that's why you have to build your relationship. If you don't give God a chance, if you don't open the door and listen to his word, you know what I mean? And then get into the word for yourself, then you're not going to have anything to fall back on. If you think you're doing this thing by yourself, that's the issue. You're going to fail. You're doing it on your own power. If you give it to God, it's not on me. You know what I mean? It's on me to carry out what I need to do from like the physical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right. But God goes before you and he opens the doors. You know what I mean? He prepares the table in the midst of your enemies.
Yeah.
He does that. You know what I mean? And so as long as you stay the course and you do what you're supposed to do, God can open those doors. It's up to him because he's sovereign, right? God could have told me, he could have shut all those doors. That could have just been my story.
Right.
It could have just been, you played at UVA. That was it. But whatever God has for me is for me. You know what I mean? And it gets worse. You know what I mean? Because like I said, now you hear I played in the NFL, but I only played 2.5 years. I didn't get hurt. You know what I mean? It's just opportunity. It's just the circumstances that I made it to the NFL. It was a blessing that I even got there with what I went through in college. You know what I mean? Like teams didn't know what to draft me as. Is he a running back? Is he a safety? Well, we can't draft him as a safety because he only played for a year, so he don't have that experience. Well, we can't draft him as a running back because he didn't play for a whole entire year. Free agent. Then that's how I end up like that, right? But when you read the word of God, the Bible tells us that we're going to go through various trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
And if you quit through all those trials and tribulations, then you're never showing the faith in God to change it. God wants to know that you can count on him. He wants to know that you believe that he can do it, right? He doesn't want anybody that's, double-minded that, yeah, God, you can do it. And then it starts getting hard. You ain't going to do it. He's like, all right, well, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never wavered. I know God can change that man's heart. That's why I kept saying, I'm going to keep working hard because this is going to be a year that God's going to change his heart and his mind. And I'm going to be starting. Didn't happen that way. I ended up playing, but it didn't happen the way I thought it would. But it happened the way God orchestrated it. If people don't give God a chance, man, you got to give him a chance. You got to really believe that he can do it. And there's so many verses in the Bible that help you have that confidence and build that faith. You know what I mean? Like I said, when the Bible tells you, count it all joy. Because those trials, me getting held back like that, and then getting those rewards, just kept building my faith. You know what I mean? I went from being fifth string on the depth chart at running back to being the starting safety. That's God. Thank you, Jesus. I know you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I go for the draft and I get invited to the NFL Combine. The doors are opening. Thank you, Jesus. That's opportunity. You know what I mean? But it's all hinged off of your attitude and how you rely on him. You just got to rely on him. You know what I mean?
That's good.
Yeah. So that's just how it's all hinging off of your faith, how it's built, you not wavering, not doubting what God can do for you.
So I'm hearing you, and it's more than inspirational. I think it's spiritually instructional. It really is. It's giving instruction to people who right now may want to quit, who are going through things that may want to quit.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I want to now kind of shift into from what you're saying right now is, okay, just think of it like this. So you on a journey. I was in the military before, and I remember there were times when we had to go on these unbearable type of like assignments where they would take us and we would like take rucksacks, BDUs, battle dress uniform and all that. And we would just go out into the wilderness, just in the middle of the woods, like deep woods. And they would just march us for like 40 miles all day long till the sun was going down. And I'm talking, you couldn't even feel your feet at some point, man. It was like, right. I mean, by the time you got to sit down, you were like, dang, man, you were questioning everything, but in survival mode, right?
Right.
During that process and during that time, I remember there being moments where, okay, like I questioned. Now I finished, bro. I finished.
Yeah.
Graduated in the whole 9. There were moments, bro, when if I had the door to walk out of, I would have walked out of the door. If a magic porter would have pulled up and said, hey, you got the opportunity to leave, I'm like, I'm out. I'm gone. Yeah. It wasn't because, I was just like, just a weakling. I mean, like I got some stories growing up in the hood, man. That's like kids shouldn't have to go through certain things. God's grace was on me, and there was just God's grace, and then a little bit of grit that it was like, okay, I just got to keep going. Like to your point of God, you have to make sure because the book of James, what you're talking about, which I agree with 1,000%. Book of James.
There it is. James. Read James.
Yeah. I mean,
for all those people, man, all those people that just want to stop.
Yeah.
Read James and get an understanding of why you have to go through what you have to go through. Mm-hmm. It's to get you through and to build your strength, build your faith up in God. Because there's gonna be harder stuff.
Yeah, it is.
That was just football.
Yeah, for sure.
That was just football. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when I got done, because there was a time where I tried to be mad, mm-hmm. right? Like I said, I played 2.5 years. Okay. I went after Seattle. Seattle released me, and by the way, I went to the Super Bowl my rookie year. This is how good God is. Mm-hmm. I achieved something that some people don't ever get to achieve. Exactly. I got I participated. I went to the Super Bowl. Yeah. I got an NFC Championship ring. You know what I mean? Some people don't never get to do that. I got to do that in my short career. Got to experience that. You know what I mean? But after that year, the following year, Seattle releases me. Denver picks me up, after me waiting. So I got released in like April, right after the draft. I get released. I get picked up by Denver, and I'm back like the following April March, for like, OTAs and stuff like that. Right. Denver releases me after the draft, which is one of the worst times to get released because everybody's already picking up, rookies from college and all that, right? So I didn't get picked up, and so I'm training. I'm at Norristown helping out, still trying to train, keep myself physically fit. I'm running with the Norristown squad. I'm coaching the running backs. You know what I mean? Yeah, Norristown High. Okay. That's where I started my coaching career because I was with them, training them in the summer. Running with them, but I was really running for me because I was still trying to stay in shape. And I didn't get picked up, so I ended up just staying and coaching with them. And during that time, I really tried to be upset. I really felt like I should have been depressed because I wasn't doing what I really, truly wanted to do, which was play football. I couldn't understand. Well, I understood, but I was like, God, like, you can open any door. Why are you not opening this door? Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm young. I'm physically fit. Like I've done what you asked me to do. You know what I mean? I'm not out here running the streets. Like, God, like, open the door. And I finally came to the realization, like, can't be mad at God because he's giving me enough.
Right, man. Okay.
He's giving me enough already. You know what I mean? If I was supposed to be on a team, I know I would be on a team because he would just open the door. So obviously there's something else that he wants me to do now. And that's to get into, teaching. So that's when I jumped into teaching. You know what I mean? And I've been there ever since. But again, if you don't have God, and that's why I feel bad for people that don't really give the relationship a shot. Yeah. I feel bad for people that walk on this earth thinking that they're orchestrating everything. Like the job they have wasn't orchestrated by God. And this is how good God is. Even if you don't believe in him, he's still going to open the door because he had it already written for you. You know what I mean? It's already, everybody's book is written. It's done. You know what I'm saying? So even if you don't believe everything I had planned, you're going to get it. You know what I mean? It's just at the end, you're not going to get into the gates. Yeah. And that's the ultimate prize. You know what I mean?
No, that you saying that because like a lot of times we don't compare eternity to the time that we're in now. One of the things we do is we lock in on the time now. And I can relate with that mindset, bro. Yeah. Because but it's something that you mentioned about your career from high school to college to then NFL, but even before the NFL, you talked about the environment that you were in. The environment that you were in seemed to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seemed to kind of drive your motivation to make the decision to keep going. I'm not going to stop. You were in an environment where people were of like mind. They were like, look, everybody trying to get at the prize, everybody. So you had this drive that's like, okay, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. But it was your relationship with God and your faith that kept you when you shouldn't, bro. I mean, I'm thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about if I was in your shoes, I'm just thinking of even more I'm transparent. If I was in your shoes, I would have been pissed off, bro. I'm being straight. I'd have been like, wait a second, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm working and I'm grinding. Okay, and the reason I'm saying that is because there's people that that work and grind now on things in life. They
Mhm.
grind, they put work in, man. There's younger people and older people alike that are doing like things that they believe are really heavy lifting. And they're like, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep going, and they're not seeing results. Not only are they not seeing results, but they are receiving more adversity. I mean, I'm thinking about your story, bro, and there's no reason for the coach not to put you in. You're producing. If you weren't producing, okay, maybe we can. You were producing, bro, and so
Yeah.
it's like that says a lot about number one, your relationship with God is number one, your faith in Him.
Mhm.
Also, and I got to be transparent with this. The environment that kind of built that thought process for you, that mindset for you, bro. Like, kudos to your coach, man. Forgive me, because he could have stuck to the plan and just said, yo, we gonna do this wrestling. That's what we gonna do. We wrestling. Teach you all of the moves, techniques, and stuff like that to be successful there. But no, he gave you something that actually, in my opinion, if you didn't get, then maybe you wouldn't have made it as far as you made it.
No.
Like
No.
you're saying things right now. Like it was this one guy who, and you probably remember the guy, but he wanted to go to NFL real bad, bro. He put video out of Eric Thomas. It went viral. He was working out in the sand. He was doing all this, that, and the other. And from what we saw on the outside looking in, the kid was ready, but he never made it, man. Now, he's a motivational speaker now. That's for motivational stuff. I forget his name. I might have to look it up. But he talked about, man, the same thing you're talking about, which is every time he took a step forward, like it was like adversity. He would do great. Adversity. So, but he just kept going. And his thing was, from the way he made it sound, the NFL was plan A for him. It wasn't plan B. So to your point with the percentages, how difficult it is to get into the league and all the adversity that was.
Stay.
Get
in and stay. I said, get in and stay.
Yeah, bro. Stay. It's like
it's hard.
So you're a miracle, bro. Hands down. You're a miracle from the standpoint of the statistics. Of course, but then also, man, just your mindset, bro. So I appreciate you coming on here with me, man, because this is something that is encouraging for me too, bro. Because like right now, I got a group of brothers that are holding me accountable to some things that I'm doing this thing called the 150 challenge, man. And you take 5 pillars in your life and you really focus on transformation. And I'm not talking about the whole, I'm going to sit around and just be motivated for a minute and inspired for a moment. I'm talking change, right?
Right.
Most people do not, especially when they're set in their ways, they don't want to change. It's like, okay, I'm good now. I'm comfortable here. I've been in this place for a long time. What we're talking about right now is we're talking about life. We're talking about surviving.
Yeah.
What would you say to the person that is on the edge? Like, yeah, the book of James, I heard it before. I go to church, but they want to change at that deep level. They want to see breakthrough at that deep level. What would you say to them, bro?
Man, it's your relationship with God is never going to stop. You have to you constantly just have to be intentional about everything that you're doing when it comes to that. You know what I mean? Praying, setting aside time to pray, setting the time aside to just really talk to God and ask Him what it is that He wants you to do. So sometimes we struggle because we're not doing what He wants us to do. Okay. We're in our own lane. We're trying to force it, and God's saying that's not where I want you. I could have kept trying to get back into the league for years. Nah, it's not it. It's not what God has for me. You know what I mean? And you got to find out. You got to ask what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? For me, staying around the people, staying around people of faith. You know what I mean? Going to church and being around people that are like-minded, like I am. You know what I mean? Going to men's group that we have. We have something called Band of Brothers every other Tuesday. Going to that, leading that. You know what I mean? Like I lead that sometimes, and so that keeps me in my word. I gotta study and do everything I need to do with that. You know what I mean? Just recently, I started doing 1 psalm a day every day. I'm gonna do 150 straight days. You know what I mean? Because there's other things that I do every single day that I have no problem doing. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I need to get in my word and get that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just challenging yourself, man. You know what I mean? I did something called Every Man a Warrior. Yeah, I've done that. I did that course, and it has like 3 courses with it. But it's just being committed, and like I said, intentional is the word, to finding out and just trying to do whatever it is that you can to stay grounded and stay in the word. because that's all we have to rely on. Again, the biggest thing to understand is that we're not in this thing alone. You know what I mean? And we're not doing anything under our own power. Everything that we have, everything that we ever will have, will be given to us by God.
Yeah. Sure.
And then just understanding that, you know what I mean? We got brothers like you know what I mean, in my life that inspire me to do better. You know what I'm saying? Spiritually. If I'm striving spiritually, everything else, Matthew 6:33, if I seek ye first the kingdom, everything else that I need and want will come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Sounds like you're saying, look, get out of your own way. Saying like, let God produce in your life the things that you don't even know need to be produced. Because a lot of times, again, we striving, like you said, I agree with 100%. We strive. It's like, man, I want this now. And I can relate with that. I get it. Because every single morning I wake up, I'm going after stuff. I get up 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm going after stuff.
Yeah.
I get this weight off him trying to get healthy. I'm going after it. Certain business, ventures I got going on, I'm going after it. I'm in, it's just so many different things that I can put into the equation. It sounds like you're saying, we have to get out of our way and we got to allow God to come in. And that environment that you talked about, I think is vitally important too. It's crazy important that you put yourself around people. There's no way that you're going to be around people that's giving you the opposite of what you need and get what you need. There's no way in the world. If you're an alcoholic, why in the heck are you hanging around people who drink?
Exactly.
If you're an addict with drugs, what's the same thing? Like, gotta change your environment. There's so many people that think they're going to change their environment inside of them without changing the environment outside.
Correct.
And so that whole just getting around people, going to church, like, what else you got to do on Sunday? Like,
right, and that's why the Bible says not to forsake the assembling of the people.
Right.
Because when you go to church, there's so many other opportunities that you might be talking to somebody about your struggle with finding a job, and they're like, oh, I own a business. I own a business. You want to work? I got a job for you.
Yeah.
It's through the vine. You know what I mean? Like, we all connected to the tree.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if we are connected, God is going to work it out. You might have to struggle for a time. You know what I mean? But joy going to come in the morning. God's going to work it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, even if he doesn't, even if you struggle your whole entire life here, the end goal is the relationship. The end goal is salvation. Because it's going to end for everybody.
It is, bro. Right.
You know what I mean? And when we go on to glory, we're going to have a mansion. We're going to have the streets of gold. We're going to have all that stuff. You know what I mean? So we just got to stay. We got to keep everything in focus and understand what this is really about. Sometimes you're going through not for yourself. You're going through for somebody else to see how you struggle through something.
That's good.
You know what I mean? They watching you and they're asking themselves. I had a lot of my homies just like, I don't know how you did it, man. I don't know how. Like, bro, you ain't cuss them out. You ain't do. You just handled it. How? Not same testimony. You know what I mean? God, man, that's Jesus. If I ain't have him, I would have flipped out. I wanted to flip out, but because the Holy Spirit brought me back, I was able to get through. You know what I mean? And that's how we get through that was just a training ground for me. You know what I mean? Once the NFL was over, I mean, I went through all that. People don't know, but I went through all that. And now it's like, our job can switch your position now. Even now, they can say, listen, you're going down to the elementary, or you're going to teach 8th grade this year, whatever it is. You just got to be able to, and people be crying and stressing and stress for.
Right. Yeah.
God got me. I'm just going, Lord, I'm going to tell you what I need. I'm going to tell you what I want, and you're going to work it out. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, as long as I still have a job, I'm going to be all right. You know what I mean?
I love that because, and I know we gotta, time is winding down, man. It's a Sunday, man. I really appreciate your time, my brother.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man.
But brother, the whole thought on I love that element you just brought in on continuation, man. Because like that's the thing that I think when you go deeper into, relationship with God, we talking about the God of the universe. We talking about the God that spun the sun into existence, the moon and the stars, and it did this land that we haven't even explored fully. There's so many things you can contribute to a God that we can't fully comprehend. He's too big. But when you think about, life and our life, the context that we live every single day, what you just now said, I think it's something that people have to lock in. on, and it's hard to. I'm
It is.
not gonna be the first to say, oh yeah, it's easy. Like, and I mean, like me and the brother was talking the other day. We was talking about James. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And how it counted all joy when you fall into diverse temptations or trials and all this and the other.
Yeah.
When you stop and look at joy, bruh.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned this one day. We were talking to the youth. I remember it was a chapel moment when we were talking about this, and you put some input in where you were basically saying, "Yo, like, what is joy?" You broke it down. No, it's not about just these great feelings. Oh, you just about everything. No. Joy is especially when we're talking about God.
Yeah.
It's going to be defined. Feelings are a byproduct in many cases.
Yeah.
Joy is that, yo, this joint hurt right now. I want to quit right now. In fact, I'm going to take it deeper. I did quit. I fell. I fell flat on my face. And I said, I don't want to do this no more. I'm done. I quit. I turned my back. I quit the job. I quit the ministry. I quit the relationship. I quit all this, that, and the other. And then you get the relationship that you talked about, especially in that last thing that you just now said, which is the continuation piece. If Peter fell flat on his face, bro. I'm talking like, I ain't gonna curse you. Nah, man. He said, man, before the cock crow twice, 3 times, you gonna do it.
Already did it. Yeah.
Hey, no, man, I ain't doing no. And then when it happened, I'm drawn to the point in the scripture where the Bible says he wept bitterly, cry hard. Man, there's so many people, bro, that are crying hard in the aspects of their lives because they failed, they gave up, they quit. So this is encouragement to say, yo, like when you build that relationship, okay, if you make it, these young brothers, you make it to the NFL, you make it to the NBA, you make it to the beautiful. But what do you have that's going to sustain you at the deeper levels? Because at the end of the day, these things are not going to sustain you because you going to fail. Things going to get tough.
Yeah.
And a relationship with God at that level is the thing that's going to, even if you fall, pick you back up. Because Peter, the same one who fell, became one of the greatest apostles of all of them.
Yes, sir.
He gave his life. You read the Fox's Book of Martyr, this brother gave his life for the gospel. He said, don't crucify me like you crucified my Savior. Turn me upside down.
Yeah.
Because there was the relationship, it went through a process. It's not going to be this, oh, you just ride off into the sun and everything is all good. No, you're going to get tested.
Yeah.
Tested at a point sometimes where you ain't going to have no other. You always have a choice, but it's going to feel like you ain't got a choice but to say, I'm done.
Just got to go through it.
But that relationship, though, it's always going to draw you back to that space where God can say, all right, I got you. You're going to be good wherever you are, whether you a janitor in a daggone school, if you're a mailman, if you're a teacher, if you're a preacher, it don't matter what. God, that relationship, bro, I'm going to say it to be quiet because I keep going, bro.
Yes, it's the never say quit. Never say quit. You can't. God don't give up on you.
God will that's it right there. My bad. Go ahead, bro.
That's it. That's it, right? You can't give up on God because he'll never give up on you.
Yeah. It's good.
That's it. And you have to give yourself grace when you do fail, when you do quit.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. Get back on the horse.
Come on.
And let's go. Get your focus right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Give God a chance to show up in your life. Give him a chance to be so you can become victorious. And don't forget about the wins along the way. You know what I mean? Some people, they get a win, and then when things start going bad again, they forget. That's where I don't forget. You've gotten me through so many different things. I know you can do it. I know you can. I'm not going, it's not if, you can do it. You know what I mean? Just don't forget what God has done for you. Keep on striving. Keep on going.
Yes, sir. Man, bro, I wish we could go longer, bro, but I know we got to shut this joint down, man. Look, I'm appreciating you 1,000%, man. This has been a blessing for me, bro. It's been encouragement for me, man. You know, it's definitely been inspirational. I know it's going to be a blessing and inspiration to other people, man. I'm going to give you real quick last words, whatever you want to say to the audience, and then I'm going to go ahead and, give some final words, and we're going to shut this joint down, brother.
No doubt. I'm going to leave y'all with this. Jeremiah 29:11. Right? God knows the plans he has for us, and his plans are to prosper us and to see us do well. You know what I mean? We have to do everything in our power to allow God to do those things. If we're not living the way God wants us to live, right, he's going to bless us, but he can bless us more abundantly if he knows we can handle it. You know what I mean? He will increase your territory because he wants to brag on you. You know what I mean? He wants people to wonder why. How are you so blessed? It's a chance for us to say, through God gives me all this. Yeah. And we all have the opportunity to spread his word, to spread love, to spread kindness. You know what I mean? That's what we're charged to do. You know what I mean? So, if you don't have a relationship, you got to work to get one. You know what I mean? And you got Coach Moon, you got Coach Weeks, brothers in Christ, that will definitely, be there for you if you need it. You know what I mean? So keep striving. And no matter what, man, God is good, and he's everything you need him to be if you open your heart and mind to him.
Hey, well, people, y'all heard it first. You heard it. You heard the brother drop so much wisdom. I love your story, my brother. And listen, y'all, share this with people that you believe can use it. We're going through a challenging time in this world, all across the world.
Yes, sir.
We might not have a lot of time left, especially according to scripture. So, right. We got to, start spreading the good news the way, and, continue to encourage and motivate each other. Their relationship is so powerful. It really is. We got to keep praying for people, though, too, around us. Look for people around you that may be struggling, because you never know. There may be somebody right around you that's thinking of offing themselves, because life is a little tough, so spread some love, spread some encouragement. And I thank y'all so much for joining. This is the 150 Podcast. We love to go deep. Come back next week. We got another guest that's coming in. And listen, reach out to me because there will be a link in the bio. Reach out to me about the 150 challenge if you're interested in getting some more information about that. I'm going through the challenge right now. It's tough, very tough, but at the end of the day, if you want to grow, if you want to stretch, then you gotta challenge yourself.
To build muscle, you gotta work out.
That's it, brother. I'm saying, hey, bro, I gotta have you back on here again, man. So look,
absolutely,
I'm gonna reach back out to you, man. We're gonna try to set up some time, man. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to transition this because I'm in my home office now, trying to transition to like a podcast studio. You know what I mean? So maybe some brothers can get into a studio and we can just go in, bro. So
absolutely,
we can do deeper conversations too, because I want to talk about everything, marriage, embracing kids.
Oh, la. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, bro, I appreciate you, man. Love you, my brother. I'm saying keep in your prayers. I'll be keeping in my prayers, man. And we're going to get off of here tonight. Love y'all. And like I always say, live 150, praise God, live 150.
All right.
All right, my brother.
Peace.
I'm good because I'm walking with the King. Yeah. Jesus paid it all. I ain't got to pay attention. Devil trying to talk, but he can't tell me anything. Head high, both hands up. I'm walking with the King. Walking with the King. Walking with the King. Yeah. Used to keep my head low, counting every bill laid, every pain so. Now I keep a warm Bible in the Kango. Highlight lines when the day go great. Oh, temptation on the corner like say less. Old friends in the whip yelling stay pressed. But I heard grace speak in the same stress. Turn my whole mess into fade rips. Got a cross on my chain, but it's deeper. Got a word in my heart, that's the healer. Devil in my DMs trying to scheme. I just leave them on red, then I read. Yeah. I'm good cause I'm walking with the King. Yeah. Jesus paid it all, I ain't gotta pay attention. Devil tryna talk, but he can't tell me anything.